Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate you. Had an opportunity to sit back and visit with Greg when I first got into town here this morning and visit with he and his staff. And I know you guys get tired of hearing about it, but remarkable man, great leadership. Love visiting with him and his staff, first class in everything they do. And without being too redundant, I always acknowledge, because I truly mean it and I care about the media, and I want to just tell you how much I appreciate you, what you do over all these years. 11th season at the University of Kentucky. I get to know quite a few of you and see you and see the way you work and see you around the country and covering all different sports, and just greatly appreciate you, and so many great stories about our players through the years, and great coverage, and not only within the SEC footprint, but really nationally. And you look at, you know, the national media and Kirk Herbstreit and what he's going through with his son Zach, and just want to give a shout out to Zach and the Herbstreit family, and let them know our prayers are with them. So thank you to the media. The three players that I have with me here this year are all from Kentucky, and that really wasn't by design. As you look about our roster and trying to choose from so many good choices, I came up with these three, and they all happen to be from Kentucky, and great young men. J.J. Weaver from the Louisville area, Octavius Oxidine, he's from the Fort Knox area, and Eli Cox. And Eli happens to be the chairman of the Leadership Council of SAC. So that's what we're looking for, and three tremendous leaders, great people, great players, and certainly Eli and the leadership that he's providing throughout the SEC. Like most coaches, you know, really excited about getting back to this, getting back to work, and getting back to some form of sanity. And for us, I think, and for myself, the sanity will be getting back out on that practice field and getting with our players and dealing with the chaos that goes on with practice. But that's a good thing. That's a comfort level for myself and probably most of the coaches that are here. Just getting out there and getting to the X's and O's and getting around the players and getting in meetings and spending time with them. We've talked a lot. You know, I talked about it last year. I think we've talked about a lot about the changing times. And it is what it is. And at this point, I think it's all, you know, for myself, is you better adapt. You better do, you know, conform to the rules that we have in front of us until things change. And you know, embrace it. And as the general said, if you don't like change, you're going to like irrelevance even less. And so for me, it's embracing those challenges and having our team you know, embrace that as well. There's a lot of turnover in this day and age, a lot of new players, new faces, and that's part of the games. So for us, it's you know, the way we think, you know, what's our mindset like, and how we're embracing that, how we prepare, and how we go to work every day. And I feel very good about the program. I feel good about the new additions and the players that we brought in to help us with the current roster, the nucleus that we have. I love the coaching staff. You know, I think obviously the first thing that I get asked a lot about is bringing back Liam Cohen. And believe me, very excited about that. But I'd like to start on the defensive side of the ball with Coach Brad White and the defensive coaches and the consistency that we've played with on the defensive side of the ball and the continuity that we have there. And, you know, that's puts a big smile on my face, obviously being a defensive coach and defensive-minded person. And you know, I just greatly appreciate Brad, the defensive coaches, and our players, the way they do things and the way they work and the consistency that they do have. Certainly, we want to be better in certain games, certain areas, and we will work hard to do that. The other area that I had to address was special teams. We needed to improve. We brought in Jay Bullaware. Jay was a guy that I've tried to hire, that I wanted to hire for years. I have great respect for Jay. He goes back to years ago working for my brother at Oklahoma, working at Texas, been a lot of good places, and just really like the approach that Jay has and the work ethic that he has. And then on the offensive side of the ball, bringing Liam back was obviously a very big deal for us. You know, you go back a couple years ago and you see the immediate impact that he had with our offense and the energy and the juice that he had within our building, but he was still at that point relatively unproven. You know, he's been a tremendous coach, but hadn't played or called plays in the SEC or in a Power 5, but came in and did that and did a heck of a job. And that catapulted him to be named the offensive coordinator of the defending world champions in LA. Then it worked out to be able to bring him back this past year. Very excited about that. I think we both have a lot of trust and belief in each other and confidence in each other, but that doesn't make it any easier. There's still a lot of work to be done, but there is some familiarity with each of us, and I think that helps. So overall, just very excited about our staff and what we have going on. You know, I think, you know, it's, before I take a question, I think it's pretty obvious that we have to get back to being who we are at Kentucky, and we've always been a physical football team, and it started up front and playing physical on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And I really feel like we fell short in that area a year ago. So obviously we have to improve. We have to protect the quarterback. We have to be physical and have some balance. And went out and hit the transfer portal with some players that'll help us on the offensive side of the ball. And, you know, and protect the quarterback. You know, and another obvious one is the quarterback, Devin Leary, getting him out of the transfer portal from NC State, a proven player, a guy when healthy, played and participated, you know, at the highest level and had great consistency, and so very excited about Devin. So, you know, another one was special teams. You know, went out and as I mentioned, you know, with the leadership of Jay Bolaware, but needed to be more consistent, just with everything, whether it be snapping, holding, punting, kicking, whatever. The routine, we need to be routine. And that didn't always happen a year ago. So, you know, we are addressing those areas as well. So, again, feel very good about the year, excited to get going. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Pam, Aaron, and Asher. And please give your name and affiliation and stand if you can. We'll start right over here, Coach, over in front of me on the left here, second row.
Hey, Coach, right here.
Over on the left.
Garrett Chapman, 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. You made one of the biggest additions via the transfer portal in Devin Leary. Tell me about your new quarterback and what you expect from him this season and what you've seen from him so far. Yeah,
Devin, you know, I saw in the spring a guy that competes at a high level. I love the way he goes to work. He has a lot of confidence. He has a chip on his shoulder, which I like. You know, obviously for him, getting his season cut short a year ago with injury didn't sit well with him, so he's very anxious to get out there and lead. I feel like, you know, just the mindset that he has, you know, and a tough kid, Jersey kid, and the way he grew up, he fits right in with our culture. And he's been extremely accurate. He's one of those guys that will, you know, maybe a year ago you know, at times would just completely wow you with his arm ability and the strength that he has. Devin is the type of guy that can make all the throws, but he'll also put it in some spots or throw it and layer it in some spots that will wow you. So been impressed and excited to see him continue to grow.
Coach, we'll go right here in the front section, third row. Drew.
Yes, Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama coach. Two-part question. You've done a great job of identifying young defensive coaches. Certainly Matt House was great for you. John Sumrall from my community, and now Brad White. What do you look for when you're evaluating a young coach and that you're looking for defensively? And then second part, I know you work very well with Mitch Barnhart, your athletic director. Is there any chance we might see John Sumrall play against Kentucky?
Yeah, with the hiring of coaches, with each of those guys you mentioned, John never had the opportunity to move up, but he would have had we had change. But each of those guys brought in Matt House with the understanding he had NFL experience and college experience, and I always knew he had the ability to be the next coordinator, and he did. With Brad White, the same thing. When I hired him out of the NFL, we had some fantastic young offensive or outside linebackers, and I wanted them developed at the highest level. Josh Allen went on to be the National Defensive Player of the Year, and Brad had a lot to do with that. But he also had the ability, big picture, to slide in to be the next coordinator. So that's a lot of what I'm looking for. Is I feel like on the defense side of the ball, in particular, you'd like it on all sides, but in particular on defense, because you see so many different varieties of offenses in college football that you have to have at least 2, maybe 3 guys that are capable of being a coordinator and have big picture ideas. And certainly John Summerall had the leadership and the knowledge and everything, the full package, to not only be a coordinator but be a great head coach like he is right now. So, and as far as that goes, I don't know. We'll see. Troy's playing pretty good football. We have a tough enough schedule, so we'll see where it goes.
Coach, we'll go back in the middle section to the right side, over here to your right.
Hey, Coach. Tristan Ferris with Kentucky Insider and Sea Blue. But you talked about kind of just adapting and embracing the current landscape of college football in your opening statement. Just looking at it, Kentucky's been a real winner in the transfer portal. Obviously, there have been some guys that you've lost, but for the large part, it's been a lot more talent coming in than leaving. What do you attribute that to? Relationships, NIL, anything specific?
I hope it has to do with the culture of our team. As transfer players hit the market and they go looking at teams, I think, the ones that fit our program are the ones that want to come in and contribute and fit into the culture that we have. Name, image, and likeness plays a part at some schools. I haven't found it to be the deciding factor at Kentucky. So, I like the guys that we have and the fit and the people that they are, and we need them to come in and contribute certainly this year.
Coach, we'll go over here to our left on the near aisle.
George Stoya, Soonerscoop.com. Mark, obviously you're familiar with the Oklahoma program. I'm wondering, what's your relationship like with Brent Venables, and what are your impressions of Oklahoma joining the SEC?
Yeah, when I first heard about with Oklahoma and Texas, my immediate reaction was, wow, already great conference, going to get better, and excited about that opportunity. And, it'll just make it that much more of a challenge with 2 great programs in the history of both of those programs. And so I've known Coach Venables for a long time, back to his days at Kansas State, where he started coaching with Mike and Bob at K-State, and then, of course, at Oklahoma. And so known Brent for a long time. I think the world of him as a person and as a coach. And, excited for him because I know he'll do great things there. And I think he's a great fit and certainly very close to my family.
Coach, we'll go right here in front, second row. Bob?
Hey, Mark. Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Ray Davis, he's obviously a guy you're familiar with, having gone against him. What do you think he brings to the table? I think I looked it up. He rushed for like 130 yards against y'all last year.
Thanks, Bob.
And the second part of that, that's why you recruited him, right?
That's been darn right.
And then as far as Liam goes, how has he changed since he was there the first time? And even though he had a tough year with the Rams, do you feel like maybe he grew from that, or?
Yeah, great point. That is exactly why we recruited him, because he did Ray Davis ran for 130 against us. I thought it was just over 100, but thanks a lot. It was a tough, but 129, okay. But no, very good player. Great respect for Ray. When he got in the portal and we had an opportunity to visit with him, it didn't take you 5-10 minutes to spend with a young man like that you knew he was the type of player you wanted on your team, both as a football player and with the character, and being a graduate of Vanderbilt, and just a great young man and very talented player and very tough. I felt like he fit our mold. And with Liam, I think there's great familiarity with the 2 of us. I think with him coming back, he knew what to expect from me. I knew what to expect from him. I think the difference is there's a confidence level. Again, that doesn't mean it's just going to happen or it's going to be easy, but Liam is much more proven at this point than he was when he came in the first time. I mean, that's the difference. So I think the confidence level's there. Again, that doesn't mean it's just going to happen, and our players need to understand that, and certainly our coaches, and we have a lot of work to do. And the game changes. Things change, for us quickly, and you got to stay on top of it. But I think he definitely grew. From going to the NFL and going through the obstacles that LA faced, and that happens at our level as well. So you learn to deal with things when they're going well, and how to handle things when they're not going well, how to adapt and find solutions. And so I have a lot of confidence in him, and excited about that.
Coach, we'll go back over to the right side of the room, over right from us on the aisle.
Hey, Coach. Owen Borden, the Red and Black. You touched a little bit on your physicality and stuff like that. I just wanted to ask, being on the Georgia beat myself, we've heard so many players talk about how physical Kentucky is, and it's one of the physical teams they've played. How important is that physicality to Kentucky, and how important is it for you to know that other teams do respect that physicality in turn?
Well, I think that's definitely the last part of your question. It's important to a degree, because without that, you're not going to win at the highest level, and we want to do that, and we know we have a long way to go. But, I think that's part of why our players, work so hard in the way they train and put themselves in a position, because to be consistent, you have to be physical on the line of scrimmage on both sides. And then it goes beyond that. I mean, you look at the great teams in this league, and certainly you're on the beat with Georgia, and you look at how physical they are, how talented, but you also, you have to give them credit for how well coached they are, and how physical they are even at the perimeter, even at the skill positions. So it takes, a lot of things to put it together at the highest level. But to me, we could control the physical part of it. So, we have to at least be that. And at times last year, I felt like we weren't successful enough at being who we are. Now we have to put the other pieces together as well.
Coach, we'll go back over here to our left. Eric.
Coach Eric Bailey with the Tulsa World. I kind of got a two-part question for you. What was the dynamic like having Mike on your staff this year? And the second part of the question is Drake Stoops. What's it like watching his career from afar at Oklahoma?
Yeah, it's really great having my brother Mike on the staff. Really, the biggest thing is big picture ideas and the experience that he has. As I mentioned earlier to the previous question about staff defensive hires, whether it was Matt House and Brad White and John Summerall and all those guys, but Mike, with the experience that he has, he brings a lot of knowledge, and he's very he likes the role that he's in. He wants to support Brad. He wants to help where needed and have big picture ideas, but also be a great soldier, if you will, and do his part. And then watching Drake, I can't tell you the sense of pride that our whole family has watching him play. And just the way he plays the game is, a way that we certainly respect. In how hard he plays and the sacrifice that he makes for his teammates, the way he competes at Oklahoma, and the legacy playing under his dad and playing under Bob, with the tradition that Bob had at Oklahoma, but Drake carrying that so well and handling it with such ease, and I'm sure it hasn't been easy for him. And he's had some ups and downs like any player, but the way he's dealt with that, he gets a lot of respect from our family, that's for sure. And no offense, but that's all that matters.
Coach, we'll go in the middle section back where the light hit, right halfway back.
Hey, Chris Phillips, the Spurs Up Show. Coach, you return your top 5 pass catchers, led by Dane Key and Berrien Brown. Just talk about where this group ranks among some of the better groups of wide receiver units you've had during your time in Lexington.
Yeah, definitely it is one of the most skilled units we've had. I mean, certainly you could go back to a guy like Wandell, a couple years ago when Liam was there, and we found a way to get him the ball, 105, 106 times. And I think we have the type of receiving core now that we could spread that out and have more consistency at other positions. And those guys, with Dane and Barry on, both performed at a high level last year as true freshmen. So it'll be very exciting to see them grow and continue to improve and get better, along with some other very talented players. And so we feel good about that unit.
Coach, we'll go to our right side, middle section over here on the right aisle. Is that?
Coach David Eckert, Clarion Ledger. 2021, you said you were not surprised one bit that Tennessee was caught cheating. Now that the details of that situation have been made public, what's your reaction?
I'm sorry, I lost you. Oh, there you are. I really at this point have no reaction. That was 2 years ago, and I've moved way beyond that. So no disrespect, but I just don't have anything. I don't know much about it, and worried about my own backyard, and so it is what it is. I have no control over that.
Okay, we'll go here in the middle section on the near aisle.
Yeah. Hey, Mark. Gentry Estes from the Tennessee. And asking about Will Levis, as someone who experienced that draft night wait with him, how surprised were you by that? And how do you think it impacted Will, still might, as he starts his career here?
Yeah, it was obviously a very difficult situation to sit through and be with him and just try to support him, and really just wanted him to know that we were there for him and supporting him. He has an absolutely tremendous family that he's very close to, that was right there with him, and we were just part of that support system, and it was tough to go through. But Will, he'll come out on the other side. That's just a little blip on the radar. He went to a great organization with a great head coach that I have a lot of respect for right here in this city, and I think it fits the mentality that Will's comfortable with, and I believe he'll do very well and have a long NFL career, and he'll look back on that and say it was a blip on the radar. Not fun for anybody to go through that. But he went to a good team early in the second round, and he will be a very successful quarterback. And there was a pretty good one by the name of Jalen Hurts. He didn't maybe have to sit there through the draft, but I mean, he went in the later rounds, second or third, if I'm not mistaken, and look at the great career he's had so far and will continue to have. And so I think for Will, he just needs to stay the course and be who he is. I think he has to stay away from proving, all that, and just play ball, because he's a heck of a player. He's very competitive, and he wants to win for his organization, and he sticks to that, he'll be successful.
Okay, we'll stay in this middle area, right down the aisle.
Conor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. Was there a moment when you realized that you wanted to get Liam back, and a moment when you realized that was realistic?
Yes, and yes. Yeah, I think there was a moment, but it's hard. That's one thing hard with dealing with the NFL guys, and their season's over so late. It was just like the year before, put us in a bad position because he wasn't able to be hired by LA till a couple weeks after the Super Bowl, and we all know how late the Super Bowl is played right now. That part of it can be challenging. But I'd rather not get into the timelines out of respect that everybody's involved, because that was later in the process. I mean, I had to work through everything I was dealing with at Kentucky, and then certainly open it up for all options. And that's what I did, and talked to some really talented people. And ultimately, it circled back to Liam, and feel very fortunate to have him back.
Coach, we'll go here to our far right on the front row.
Hi, Mark. Jim Mashik, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yes.
You talked a little bit about the three players from Kentucky. As your recruiting strategy, for lack of a better word, evolved over your time in Lexington, meaning I know how hard you went into Ohio, even down to Florida. Over the years, has it changed? And what's your thoughts on Kentucky high school football and where it's going?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, even if you go back to 10 years ago, I've always stressed the importance of Kentucky. we have to handle our own backyard. And, for us, then dipping into Southern Ohio or Central Ohio at the time, it was just so close in proximity, it just made sense. And the number of players that we have in Kentucky. But the evolution of high school football in Kentucky has grown. Hopefully, we had a small part of that, I think. But the coaching that's going on at the high school level in Kentucky, the players that are there may not be as many in number year to year, but there's very talented players. And we've been able to do a very good job and recruit at a high rate from the guys that we're really targeting in Kentucky. And hopefully we'll continue to do that because it's very important.
All right, we have time for 2 more. We'll start over here on our left, Coach, on the near out.
Hey, Coach. Chris Gordy, Locked On SEC. Your matchup against Georgia, you guys have done a great job of limiting them. At least your defense has done a great job of limiting them from scoring points the last few years. What is it about that matchup that when they're scoring points on everybody, you guys seem to kind of slow them down?
I don't know. Let's not talk about it. We don't need to aggravate them anymore on it. They're the type of team you challenge them, they're gonna make you look bad. But no, I don't know. I don't know if it's, you can't put your finger on any one thing. We know that they're capable of going off against anybody and scoring and creating explosive plays. All you got to do is watch the championship game or the playoffs and all of that against some really good football teams. They're capable of that with their coaching and with their players. And I do give a lot of credit to Brad White, our defensive coordinator, and staff, and our players. They played really hard, but close isn't good enough. I am proud of the way they competed on that side. Now we need to put it all together, and the bottom line is try to win the game. But again, I give them a lot of credit because I think I don't think enough gets talked about with how, I think they're very talented and they recruited at a high level, but they're very well coached.
All right, we'll take one final question to our right-hand side, about halfway back.
Mark, Wilson Alexander from The Advocate. Obviously, Texas and Oklahoma joining the league is a year away, but are you finding that is impacting anything on the recruiting trail in this class? Them able to maybe come further into the SEC footprint and vice versa? Are y'all able to go further into Texas and Oklahoma because of that, them joining the league?
Yeah, I think that's fair question. And if you look into it and research it, I'm sure that's probably the case in some circumstances. For us, we haven't deviated too far from what we've done, where we recruit, but you never know. I mean, some of it is based upon relationships and where they're at and things of that nature. So you never know. But I think it will impact it to some extent. Yes.
Coach Stoops, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.